We are a very fortunate and blessed family that just happened to be a fortunate, blessed family with cancer.
I don't want anybody to have to hear what we heard and go through the journey that we went through.
Everybody in their life at one point goes through something. It's just I went through it at an earlier stage.
Carter as a baby, there was never a shy moment with him ever. The friendliest little child, always. He's a great big brother. He was so proud when we brought home his first brother. It was his little toy. And at that point, he was already getting into sports and immediately wanted brother to take part, even though he was an infant.
Everything's a competition. He was wanting to play football.
It took a long time to convince me to let him play tackle football, and we finally did.
When I was playing football, my mom was like, "Hey, you have a lot of bruises." And then I looked at all my other kids, all my other friends on the team, and they had 0 bruises, and I had them everywhere.
One night we were sitting in that room just over there, and I looked at Tim and I said, "Something's not right." We ended up taking him to a pediatrician. She said, this could be a lot of things, but for peace of mind, I think definitely let's just have some labs drawn and we'll go from there. And the next day, I got a phone call from the doctor's office and said, "I think we need you to go get him and take him down to CHOA. They're expecting you."
I remember when they came in and we walked out to talk to the doctor, and Carter was left alone.
He was 9, almost 10 at that point. And I think that night in that ER, something changed. His childhood, something switched. And he said to us when we walked back in that room, "Don't ever talk about me with the doctors without me. I want to know. I want to be in the room." That was the beginning of him amazing us. We went from the initial, "We think your son may have leukemia," to within an hour hearing, no, now that we've gotten a look at it, we think it's aplastic anemia.
It was beginning of news of oh my gosh, this is really serious.
Our alarm bells went off. Who do we know?
I felt like I was in a forest without a flashlight. So I spoke to Kevin Kennedy, who is a board member at Cure. All we were looking for as parents was a light. That flashlight and that light of hope allowed us to spend many hours on the phone to walk us through education and learning this new diagnosis.
Here's how it works. Here's a place you can go. Here's what you can research on this. Here's what happened with us. Here's what happened with my son.
We were on a fact-finding mission. What we realized that this was going to be a continuous journey, but trying to figure out what was our best chances to try to have the best outcomes and for this to work.
This is something that looks and acts like a cancer. It's something that is not very easy to treat. It also primarily affects adults. It's not usually children. So very, very rare. It's something most people have never heard of.
When you get to the diagnosis of aplastic anemia, the recommendation from the team was immunosuppressive therapy.
Our doctors here in Atlanta told us initially about this course of treatment we could try. They said, if this doesn't work, this is at the point where we'll have to talk about going to transplant. Carter just wasn't putting himself in a pretty little box of aplastic anemia, which is like Carter. He likes to do things his own way. For 6 months, it was red blood cell transfusions and analyzing every lab draw and just continuing with transfusions weekly. Finally, in June, we had a call with our doctors in Boston, and they said we're shifting our care from hematology to transplant. And we meet with our doctor here and start down the path of contacting donors.
Out of 43 million, we landed on 4.
We had reached out and we hadn't heard anything back yet. And I was there with the kids when we got the email from our doctor, and the subject said, it's a go. We have a donor.
Say hi, Mom.
Day 100 in the transplant world is
Big
a
deal.
monumental day. They drop numerous medications. It's usually the point they tell you can go home. So day 100 was for us in December. We were hosting a family cookie decorating party for the holidays, and Carter just wasn't feeling great.
He had a fever.
And all of a sudden he had this very large mass on his neck. And we thought, well, this is weird. This is definitely not normal. And so we got to clinic that day, and I think they probably knew immediately what was going on. Not only have we survived, we think, the aplastic anemia, the bone marrow transplant, now he has the word we've been running from for a long time. And, your doctor confirms your son has cancer.
In my opinion, the chemo's not really the hardest part. I miss my family a lot. My motivation was to see them. I'd call them every night, and I just missed them so much.
The journey begins. Carter Strong.
Being that kid with cancer it's devastating.
I felt like when we were doing that treatment that I had hope that it was going to work and that I could do it. And at that point, I had this piece of paper that my dad wrote for me, and it said, outwork everybody, and I have it, but that's just what I thought in my head, outwork everybody.
Life right now is our new normal. We're back home, and all 3 boys are in school, and all 3 boys are playing sports again.
Watching Carter run out on the field and do what he did so well prior to transplant and prior to his initial diagnosis, and the game that he loves so much, to see him do that again and see him really growing in the sport now, even because his whole heart and soul is in it. It just brings him so much joy to be back out there.
We needed cure during our dark days to get us through the next day. Having the access, the resources, the faith, the family, the community, and having cure is how we've been able to conquer this journey and to get to the other side, to tell our story, to give hope to those that sometimes don't sit on a couch and talk about how their child can go back to school and go play sports and go be a big brother and be a husband, a father one day.
People should support Cure because they do many things like bring lunches and find activities, but the overall part is that they fund all the research and everything, and their overall goal is to cure childhood cancer. And that's amazing because some kids have treatments that can't be cured. I'm very lucky standing here today because the treatment cured me and they helped save my life, and you should help them and help other kids so they can do this.
It might not happen to you, but it will happen to somebody that you know, and I think we as a community should all get behind Cure and to try to help other families like ourselves in the darkest times that you hope that and pray that you don't go through.
Yeah. That's only possible with research. With the money that's donated, maybe one of these trials, maybe one of any of these doctors, maybe they're going to find it, and maybe that cure will have effects that go forever.
People don't choose to get sick. It's not fair. So they don't have a choice, and I feel like that they deserve to just get better and have a second chance at life.